Good evening. This is STV News. Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga had a telephone conversation with U.S. President Joe Biden for about 30 minutes before dawn on the 28th, for the first time since he took office. Along with further strengthening the Japan-U.S. alliance, they agreed to work closely on measures against the new coronavirus and climate change issues. It was confirmed that the Prime Minister's visit to the United States will be adjusted for early realization. The Prime Minister congratulates Mr. Biden on his inauguration. The two leaders agreed to cooperate in the realization of the free and open Indo-Pacific concept with China's movement in mind. In addition, confirming the application of Article 5 of the Japan-U.S. Security Treaty, which stipulates the U.S. defense obligation to Japan, to Okinawa Prefecture, and the Senkaku Islands. Mr. Biden will provide extended deterrence, including nuclear umbrella, by the United States. I promise that. On the North Korean issue, they agreed to cooperate in the realization of denuclearization. The Prime Minister sought understanding and cooperation for the early resolution of the abduction issue, and Mr. Biden expressed his support. It also agreed to strengthen cooperation between Japan, the United States, Australia, and 4 Indian countries. Biden invited him to a climate change summit, which he plans to host online on April 22nd. The Prime Minister expressed his intention to consider participating. After the telephone conversation, the Prime Minister told reporters about his visit to the United States. We decided to make adjustments as soon as possible while watching the infection situation of Corona, but explained that there was no exchange regarding the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics. Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga announced at the House of Councilors Budget Committee on the morning of the 28th that the number of infected people in Tokyo and other metropolitan areas is declining in the state of emergency for the measures against the new coronavirus. Experts have told us that we need to analyze it, he said, answer to Mr. Masaki Taniya of Komeito. The House of Councilors Budget Committee will continue basic questions regarding the third supplementary budget for 2020 with the attendance of the Prime Minister and all ministers. The total amount of the third supplementary budget is 15,427.1 billion yen. Additional economic measures associated with the spread of the new corona infection were included at the upper house plenary session on the afternoon of the 28th. It was approved by the majority of the ruling parties. The House of Councilors Budget Committee was attended by Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga and all ministers on the morning of the 28th, and continued basic questions regarding the third supplementary budget for 2020. Komeito's Masaki Taniya explains why the healthcare delivery system is tight, despite the small number of people infected with the new coronavirus compared to other developed countries. The total amount of the third supplementary budget is 15,427.1 billion yen. Additional economic measures associated with the spread of the new corona infection were included. At the upper house plenary session on the afternoon of the 28th, it was approved by the majority of the ruling parties. Hiroshi Moriyama of the Liberal Democratic Party and Jun Azumi, the chairman of the Constitutional Democratic Party, discussed in the Diet on the morning of the 28th over the revision of the Special Measures Law and the Infectious Diseases Law to improve the effectiveness of measures against the new coronavirus. Mr. Azumi demanded that all criminal penalties included in the Infectious Disease Law amendment be removed, and Mr. Moriyama accepted. The Liberal Democratic Party plans to settle on the same day. After the meeting, Mr. Azumi emphasized to reporters that getting an understanding is a huge step forward. Mr. Moriyama also said, "I conveyed the basic idea of seeking fines as an administrative punishment rather than a criminal punishment." In the bill to amend the Infectious Diseases Control Law, if an infected person who did not respond to hospitalization is refused to cooperate in an active epidemiological investigation to track the infection route, imprisonment up to 1 year or a fine up to 1 million yen, it is stipulated that the criminal penalty of fine of 500,000 yen or less will be imposed. Opposition parties, such as the Constitutional Democratic Party, opposed it, saying that the criminal record is too heavy. In the afternoon, they will meet again over the amount of fines, which are administrative punishments included in the amendments to the Special Measures Law and the Infectious Diseases Law. In Japan, 3,970 new coronavirus infected persons were newly confirmed on the 27th. The death toll has risen to 90 people nationwide, including a record high per day in Tokyo, 18 people, and Osaka Prefecture, 23 people. According to the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, the number of seriously ill people nationwide as of midnight on the 27th was 1,043, an increase of 47 from the previous day, a new record high. The Tokyo Metropolitan Government has announced that 973 new cases have been confirmed. It is the first time in 2 days that the number of newly infected people in Tokyo has fallen below 1,000, and this is the first time this year on Wednesday. It was revealed on the 28th that JCR Pharmaceuticals, a pharmaceutical company responsible for domestic production, will manufacture 90 million doses of the new coronavirus vaccine supplied to Japan by AstraZeneca, a major British pharmaceutical company. Chief Cabinet Secretary Katsunobu Kato said at a press conference on the 28th that most of the coronavirus vaccine supplied to Japan by AstraZeneca, a major British pharmaceutical company, will be manufactured in Japan. It is difficult to establish a system that can produce vaccines in Japan. It's important. Mr. Kato said, "We will continue to improve the vaccine production system in preparation for a pandemic." Australia's leading think tank, Lowy International Policy Research Institute, has indexed and summarized how well each country and region has responded to the new coronavirus by the 28th. New Zealand and is the leader in the 98 countries, regions surveyed. Japan was in the middle at the 45th place, and the United States was in 94th place. For the period of 36 weeks, after the 100 infected person was confirmed in each country, region. The Institute will add available data, such as infected persons, deaths, and the number of tests, including figures per population. It was indexed. It does not consider the specific measures taken by each country to prevent infection. Following Vietnam in second place and Taiwan in third place, the Asia-Pacific group occupies 6 countries, regions in top 10. Small nations with a population of less than 10 million have consistently outperformed larger nations. The Institute said, "It seems that it was possible to take flexible measures such as border closure and restriction measures." Governor Yuriko Koike of Tokyo announced on the 27th that greenhouse gas emissions will be halved from 2000 levels by 2030, aim for early response in order to achieve the existing target of virtually zero emissions by 1950. She spoke at an online meeting of the World Economic Forum. Mrs. Koike put up a slogan, "Time to Act," and said, "We are calling on citizens and businesses to work with Tokyo to change their behavior." At the same time, Mrs. Koike declared that Tokyo will be pioneering city in green finance. A meeting of experts will be held on February 3 to raise funds necessary for environmental investment. The yen exchange rate on the Tokyo foreign exchange market on the 28th was 104.14 to 14 yen per dollar as of 9 a.m., which was 47 yen weaker and stronger than the previous day, 103.67 to 67 yen. The Nikkei stock average began to fall by more than 400 yen from the previous day on the Tokyo Stock Exchange on the morning of the 28th. The rate of decline exceeded 600 yen at one point and fell below 28,000 yen during trading hours for the first time in about 2 weeks since the 12th. As of 9:30 a.m., it is 28,146.39 yen, which is 488.82 yen lower, against the backdrop of concerns over delays in the distribution of the new coronavirus vaccine. U.S. stocks plunged the day before, and sales to secure immediate profits expanded. In the U.S. market, the day before, the average rate of decline of 30 Dow Jones Industrial Averages exceeded 2% due to the delays in vaccine distribution and caution about worsening corporate performance in Tokyo market. Sales are predominant, centering on it-related stocks such as semiconductors. On the 28th, the National Police Agency's expert committee, which was discussing how to regulate stalking, reported that it is appropriate to newly subject acts such as misuse of the global positioning system to the stalking regulation law. Was summarized. The agency will submit a bill to amend the law to ordinary session of the Diet, which is currently open. The report points out that the acquisition of location information using GPS devices provides great anxiety to the other party and may lead to further crimes. Obtaining location information by attaching a device to a car or installing an application on the other party's smartphones without consent is considered appropriate, Atsukimatoy, etc., prohibited by the law. The report also mentions a review of the law's lookout and ZAP requirements, where regulated locations are limited to residences and workplaces, based on the current situation where it is easier to grasp the behavior of the other party from information such as the internet exchange site. It is necessary to add a current location, such as a store that stopped by. On the 28th, the Japan Meteorological Agency called for caution against billiards, storms, high waves, and heavy snows, mainly on the Sea of Japan side from Hokkaido to Chugoku region until the 30th. It is expected that a strong winter-type pressure system will be established after the cyclone progresses from the Sea of Japan to the vicinity of the Hokkaido while rapidly developing. The maximum instantaneous wind speed expected over the 29th is 35 meters from Hokkaido to China and 30 meters in northern Kyushu. The height of the waves is 5 to 8 meters. The wind blows for 30 days, and there are places where the sea becomes a big deal. The expected amount of snowfall for 24 hours until 6 a.m. on the 29th is 30 cm in Hokkaido, 25 cm in Hokuriku, and 20 cm in Tohoku. After that, the same amount of snowfall until 6 a.m. on the 30th. Hokuriku 70 to 90 cm, Tokai 60 to 80 cm, Tohoku 50 to 70 cm, Kinki 40 to 60 cm, Hokkaido 30 to 50 cm, China 20 to 40 cm. In addition, the amount of snowfall until 6 a.m. on the 31st is 30 to 50 cm in Tohoku, 20 to 40 cm in Hokkaido, and Hokuriku and Kinki. Thomas Bach, chairman of the International Olympic Committee, IOC, held a press conference after the board meeting on the 27th saying, facts and implementation about preparing for the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics as the infection of the new coronavirus continues to spread. Obviously, based on possible measures, it's not irresponsible. If we think a big tournament isn't safe, we won't aim for it. Bach said a total of 175,000 tests were conducted at more than 7,000 international competitions this winter, with only 0.18% positive for the new corona. Reasons for not considering the cancellation or repostponement of the Olympics include the fact that an international competition of 3,000 people can still be held, the expansion of vaccination, and the establishment of a rapid test method. On the other hand, regarding the increasing number of voices against the Olympics in Japan, he said, "I understand that it is extremely difficult to imagine the Olympics in a situation where you do not know if you can meet friends and family." The latest world ranking of women's golf was announced on the 25th, and Nasa Hataoka was in 7th place, the same as last week. Hinako Shibuno was 13th, and Ayaka Furue was 16th, both in which remain unchanged, with Ai Suzuki dropping 1 to 23rd. First place is Ko Jin-young, Korea. Former Japan national team MF Shinji Kagawa, who joined PAOK, the Greek First Division of soccer, said in an interview video on the club's official website on the 27th, he said, "I want to get on the pitch quickly. I will do my best to give back all my strength to this team. I want to do my best." For Kagawa, who has been active in Dortmund, Germany, and Manchester United, England, Greece will be the 5th country overseas. He said, "I'm proud to be in a traditional club. I want to be successful with the team." Yuta Watanabe, who signed a 2-way contract with the Raptors of the American Basketball Association, NBA, participated in the Bucks game in Tampa, Florida on the 27th, and scored 5 points and 7 rebounds. In about 14 minutes, the team lost 108 to 115. Wizard Rui Hachimura misses the Pelicans match in enemy territory due to the league's new coronavirus infection prevention regulations. Coach Brooks revealed that Hachimura and others who are subject to the regulations have resumed training, saying that it is expected that we will be able to return soon. And that's all for today. See you next week for another news update.